in the last 2 years of tax, and from where I grew up, I wouldn't have even been making 30 grand in a year. You live once, life's short, go for whatever it is you want to do, I reckon. Just find a way to make it work. There's always a way to make something work.
What's interesting is that everything bad that was happening in your personal life, but everything good was happening in terms of your content creation at the same time.
You know, like I would have stopped making videos 3-4 years ago, but there's just something in me that I just can't let go of, and I'm just like, I just want to keep doing it.
How much money were you making in those days?
Oh man, the first few months were insane, you know. I'm not like, fuck you, I can go box and make millions of dollars because I have an audience. It's like, I want to do it, to go in there and prove that there's not one guy that does this social media shit that's going to leave that ring like conscious. We can't always control what people are going to think or say about you or how they judge you. You can control how you react to it. And I just learned to just not even read it, look at it, not care, just talk to my good friends, do what I felt was right, and just kept going full steam ahead of my goals and what I wanted to achieve.
So that together we have clarity, direction, and success way beyond what we ever previously thought possible. Here's your host, Frankie Lee.
Quick one before we jump into this podcast. Do me a solid favor, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment below this video. If you're looking to remove images, videos, search results, or fake accounts online, go to contentremoval.com, but don't take my word for it. Here's some music.
Frank, you're a fucking legend. I just saw this. Layla also thinks you're a legend, which in my mind means you're... which means you're a double legend in my mind. If you get my wife to think you're a legend, then you're extra cool in my mind. Dude, thank you so much, genuinely. That was such a pain.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. And do you know what, right? Do you know what? I thought I was going to introduce this guest to you quite a while ago, but it never materialized. But I've got the man, the myth, the legends, the OnlyFans model, the content creator, the internet extraordinaire, the man who's thrown some of the biggest parties in Australian recent history. Jackson Adoyi, welcome to the podcast, my man.
Hello, mate. Thank you very much. It's lovely to be here.
Mate, that was a very professional entrance from you.
That was a very nice introduction. I didn't want to be too silly. It was lovely. How are you, brother?
Mate, I'm good. I'm excited to have you here. I think there's a lot of... I mean, look, let's face it. A lot of your content over the past and everything that's blown you up to the world has shown your not so serious side. But one thing I know from speaking to you at length through socials and in other environments is that there's a lot more depth to you than what meets the eye. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think today is a good opportunity to showcase, you know, your business acumen and your serious side to the audience rather than just like this funny guy. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, for sure, mate. Yeah, no, it's good. I love doing podcasts. You sit down, have a good chat. People get to see a bit more. You know, it's like an hour or two of just sitting down, talking about a bit of everything instead of just a quick 1 minute fucking jumping on rakes and jumping off bridges and doing dumb shit.
So before you found content creation the way you found it, obviously by doing all these funny skits and everything that happened with Shami and the Lukes of the world, Luke Unwins and all that kind of stuff. Before you started going into all that, like give us a bit of a background into your childhood growing up and how that kind of and that transition from obviously going through what you went through as a child and then coming out and getting into content creation.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I was always doing dumb stuff growing up, like just silly shit, you know. Growing up, I idolized things like Jackass and, you know, all them crazy shows, and grew up watching MTV, you know, things like Viva La Bam Margera from Jackass, his show. And when I was younger, I always just thought, fuck, I wish I could grow up and just do some stuff like that. Me and my friends, my cousins, we would, as kids, like 13, 14-year-old kids, we'd go down the biggest hills we could find on office chairs. We would prank each other. We would jump off like cliffs into saltbush. Just real, just, you know, tame down, just dumb shit, little stunts and stuff. We used to love that. Like growing up on WWE, Jackass, all these like violent, just aggressive, just full on like silly shit. Like I grew up loving it. And, you know, as I got older and social media became a thing, I started putting videos up, even on MySpace, when MySpace was a thing. I was like really young. You could have a video on your wall, and I'd always put a different video up every like month or two and change them videos around. And then as I got a bit older, I moved over to the UK just to work in pubs, bars, nightclubs, all that sort of shit. And whilst I was over there, I watched a few like Aussie creators at the time. Actually, no, this was before I went away. And these guys, before I went away, blew up and they were doing really well, traveling the world. They were kind of the first YouTube sort of people in Australia to become that big, like internationally known. And I saw that and I was like, not hating them. Like I've always given them good credit, but I was like, me and my friends are definitely a lot funnier than that. And we're crazier. And if I could get my boys together and do this shit, like there's no reason why we couldn't blow up and do these things. A lot of my friends loved the idea and would turn up every now and then to make some content with me, but they were all happier just to stick with their jobs, their safer route and stuff. And good on them, you know, like they're doing well. I just kept going, just kept making videos and started posting to Facebook. And before you knew it, a few of them started going viral. And then my following kept going up and up and up and up. And I was just going crazy with the content. And here I am.
When you say go viral back in the day, what was viral in terms of like views and kind of things back in those days?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's because you can never really say what is technically viral. Like, because sometimes we would have a video that might it might get 1 million views, but 1 million views isn't really viral. It's just like it's a big video. But if it hits the news, then kind of you start thinking, is it going viral? But I think viral is different. Like you could define it in so many different ways. Like viral could be like around the whole world, or like you could be viral just inside of Australia. It could be viral through mainstream media. I think once you're getting like 10, 20 million views on videos, that's a pretty viral video, because you look at populations of this country, even, you know, the amount of people that are on social media back then, there wouldn't have even been probably 10 to 20 million people using it in the early days. Yeah. And yeah, anything around that. Me and Shami would get videos with like 100 million views. Me and Luke Owen would get videos with 100 million views. Some of my pet kangaroo video that I did, pet snakes, they'd get 50 to 100 million views. Like stuff that's hitting the news, doing the rounds. You get people from, I'm watching this from Germany, I'm watching this from the United Kingdom, and you're seeing new faces, new fans from all over the world turn up and just watching it from everywhere. It's on news channels around the world. That's viral to me.
When you obviously getting these viral videos that are hitting like 50 to 100 million views, and you think to yourself, okay, I've got something here. How did it take a lot to compute how to monetize that, or were people coming to you telling you how to monetize that, or is it something you had to figure out?
Yeah, it was pretty hard to monetize in the early days because it was still a very grey area. Like advertisement companies, brands, products, all these things were still a bit hesitant about investing money into it, because it was kind of like everyone was saying, oh, this isn't going to go anywhere, blah, blah, blah. Mainstream media, radio, television, like sports games and stuff. That's where a lot of people put their marketing money. So it was pretty hard to monetize at the beginning, but after a few years, people would offer a couple $100 here for you to mention their brand, or they'd send you some free shit. But I never really liked the idea of doing the whole brand deals and every day I'm promoting a different teeth whitening kit or a skinny tea supplement or, you know, proteins and shit. Like, yes, I've definitely promoted some stuff in my time in the early days to make some money, but it wasn't really about money. I just wanted to do it to make people laugh, make people feel good, even just weird people out, you know what I mean? Just have people like, what the hell is, like, the shock value, it lights me up, it gives me energy. I like seeing people just react to shit. And I didn't really ever start with the intention of making money out of it. I just did it, and then more money would come along. Then people started monetizing videos on YouTube, Facebook, these things, and yeah.
Was you being the class clown in your childhood? Is that kind of where it stems from?
I'd say so, for sure. I was always that guy at school, always a class clown, just doing dumb, stupid shit.
Because I know from my childhood on a personal level, like when I was class clown back in the day, it was always because I was trying to get some attention to answer some maybe other questions in my life that perhaps weren't, you know, like some numbness in other areas of my life, you know, some
definitely.
So I've talked openly in the past, like I felt a lack of love in certain areas of my life, and that's why I used to seek attention and be is that something that you felt?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was a lack of I wouldn't say it was a lack of love, but I do say there was things there, you know. I think it's a good topic to speak about. Is I grew up in a pretty good family. My parents did a great job, you know. We grew up in a pretty low class family, not a lot of money. But my mum and dad both worked extremely hard to make sure my sister and I always had food on our plates, a roof over our head, and a bed to sleep in. And that was like a blessing, because, you know, we grew up in a nice little small beach town. I had the beach every day, I had rugby, all those things. My childhood was pretty good, man, like pretty good for the most part. But I don't know, like a lot of the time there, it is like that. It's like you feel like something's missing, but you don't know what. I couldn't put my finger on what was missing. And it was like I wanted to make people laugh and feel good, so they wouldn't feel shit, you know? Like, that's what I like to do. I like to try to cheer people up and make people feel good. It didn't mean necessarily that I was always down. It's just like, I don't want people to feel shit.
Yeah, no, I understand exactly what you're trying to communicate there, because it was similar thing that I went through myself. It's like you make people laugh, but it also helps you feel better.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's kind of like a medicine for you, and that's kind of what I meant with what I was going down. I wanted to understand the psychology of you as a child and what you were living through at that moment, to kind of understand why you went along this whole path, because it's a pivotal point that not many people talk into.
Yeah,
you know, like some of the things that people go through. So you start going along this journey, like you say, you're getting these hundreds of views, you're starting to get paid. At what point then did you think to yourself, right, I've got to go all in on this, and stop working any jobs that you had and all this kind of stuff, and start to really put your full attention into it?
Yeah, it's a good question, mate. I'd say it was when I was about 20, maybe 21. I was helping my dad out with a bit of labouring, doing tiling, and I was doing that maybe 2-3 days a week. But then I was also working in a pub in my hometown 3-4 days or nights a week. So, I was pretty busy between both of those jobs. But any spare time, I'd put every dollar, every bit of money that I was earning, whether it was $400 or $500 a week, I'd put all of that straight back into just to make some videos, buy some props, pay someone to come help me out, everything, And as I said, once some companies start saying, oh, hey, here's a little bit of money, here's this, here's that, can you talk about this, can you promote that? Videos going viral on YouTube, making a couple of $100 in a week. And I'm like, whoa, and I'm sitting there in the pub, people treating me like shit, talking to me like shit. It wasn't so much the work that I didn't like. I was okay with laboring. I was okay with pouring beers. I was okay with making drinks and serving people. But after a while, as I started, my brain was tricking over, and I was like, yep, I'm making a bit of money now from doing these videos, and I love doing these videos. So I'm making shit money, essentially, to be treated like shit, spoken to like shit, told what to do like a fucking slave, pretty much. This is what people would treat me like half the time. And bear in mind, I was still making videos when I was working in these, people would walk up into the pub, oh, being famous on the internet doesn't pay the bills, does it? And take the absolute piss. Be like, oh, go make a fucking stupid video. People would give me shit. And, after a while, I was like, you know what? I can't just stay here in this small little hometown, in this bubble, being talked to like shit to make the bare minimum. If I can even just make $200 a week from these videos or from whatever I'm doing somehow, I'm going to quit. I quit with about $600 in my bank account, and I didn't fucking care. I was like, I'm quitting. I don't care. I'm going to make it work. Did my grandma's house for a little while in the spare room there with my partner at the time. Just went hard, man. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this work one way or another. It's plan A right through. If it doesn't work, cross that bridge later. But that was never a question in the back of my head. It was always just like, this is going to work no matter what.
So if there's people listening to this, then that know that they've got something going in their life that they want to lean into but don't have the confidence to lean into it, what would you say to them in order to help them move through and get into what they should be doing?
I'd just say go for it. Just say go for it, if you're doing a job and everyone's like, oh, it's easier for you to say you've got money, you're there. It's like, no, I wasn't always there. I never really had money growing up. I was never spoon-fed anything. I didn't get handouts or anything like that at all. I think if someone's unhappy in a job, if they've got dreams, if they've got things, I say go for it, because that corny saying YOLO, you do only live once. Go for whatever's going to make you happy, because in my head, it's like, I would rather die in the process of chasing my dreams and staying broke instead of just working for someone just to pay the bills. And I saw a video recently that really resonated with me, and it's like, go back a long time ago during slavery times, whether it was in the Roman Empire times or, whatever time during slavery, they would make people work 16 hours a day, slave labor, and in return they get food and a shelter over their head. And that was it. Nowadays, nothing's changed. Just they're getting given a little bit of money instead of a roof and a shelter over them or food. They're going to the work, they're doing their work, they're coming home and they're getting paid just enough just to pay for their food, just enough to put a roof over their head, and they're left with fuck all at the end of the week. And they stay on that repeat stress, trying to save money to get ahead. If an emergency happens or someone gets sick or there's an accident, floods, house burns down, some insurance problems, no one has enough money there. Everyone freaks out and they got to go to the government. And shit's just like that. It's like, you live once, life's short, go for whatever it is you want to do, I reckon. Just find a way to make it work. There's always a way to make something work.
I think it's all about sovereignty as a human being, isn't it? It's like taking hold of, if you don't take hold of your destiny, someone else is going to take hold of it for you. And ultimately, then, if someone takes hold of your destiny, you're not going to be fulfilled in what you're doing, because you can either build your own or you can build.
It's that
saying,
bro. It's like either build your dreams or someone will hire you to build theirs.
Yeah, it's 100% true. And just even hearing about someone like you who's made millions of dollars online now, creating content, even before OnlyFans, you had to lean into it and take that physical leap when you didn't even know if it was going to work or not. And I think that a lot of people will see people like you and not understand that you've perhaps had to do that when you didn't know the answer yourself.
Yeah.
I think it's important that a lot of people take that leap if that's
you have to take the leap of faith, man. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with working a normal job and having a stable life. There's nothing wrong with that. If people are happy to do that, then so be it. You got to do what you got to do to pay your bills, look after your family, your people, whatever you're doing. But there comes a time, man, where it's like either you're going to chase it and make it happen and just take that risk. Because at the end of the day, most jobs are replaceable. Everyone out there working their job is pretty much replaceable. You could drop dead today. Your boss isn't going to give a shit. Like, oh, damn, that's sad. Hope his family's okay. Next. You know what I mean? That's essentially what it is. You're working in a normal job pretty much. You could drop dead. Some of your friends and family will be extremely shattered for a long time. Your boss ain't going to care. He'll hire someone else to come fill your job. So go out there, chase your own dreams, do what makes you happy, build your own shit. And if it takes a fucking 10, 20, 30 years, or even if you never get there, so be it. Because you can die happy knowing you spent your time doing things you were passionate about and chasing your own goals and trying to build your own shit. You don't fail till it's over. It's only a failure if you give up and stop, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you, mate, because I resonate with everything you're saying because it's something I've had to back with myself. You know, I'm a case proven for doing it. I don't know everything about everything and how it's all going to work out. I just know that if you continue in the pursuit of what lights you up, I just know it feels a hell of a lot better than pursuing something that doesn't. Yeah. So I just encourage anyone that's listening to this to do exactly that, as what Jackson's just said, because if you don't, you just you'll never. I think, Jackson, people think finding their purpose is something that happens like that. But
I'm still looking for purpose to this day.
Yeah.
To this day, I'm still looking for it. I have had things that I've done along the way, and, you know, I've gotten a bit over it, or I've wanted to try new things or evolve or learn something different. And even to this day, I think a lot of people float around without purpose. And I think when someone doesn't have purpose, that's when things like depression set in and confusion, brain fog, and things like addiction might start, you know, like, because if people don't have a purpose, they don't know what they want in life or what they're doing. That's why it is people do go for their normal jobs in the 9-to-5 life, because it is relatively easy. You can wake up, you go there, you don't have to use your brain a great deal. You just go home and then that's it for the day. Just go home, you can work out, you can sit with your partner, watch a movie, make some dinner, go to the beach. You don't have to think. When you're running your own businesses, you've got to account for like your staff, do all your accounting, keep on top of your taxes, save money, spend money, hire people, fire people, make all your content, do all your work, recruit staff, editing, emailing, personal assistant work, as well as trying to manage having a life outside of that for relationships, family, friends, holidays. People only see the glitter and the glam of like that life of being an entrepreneur or having your own business. They don't see all the other shit that goes into it. It's like, oh, he just got lucky, you know. So,
well, it's easy to discount success by saying it's just luck, because then it stops you as the person who wants that in their own life from thinking.
100%.
So if I look at you and I say, Jackson's just lucky, then instantly I've just shut down my frontal cortex, basically my thinking brain, to be able to say, do you know what? Actually, if he can do it, I can do it too. I just have to do it a different way for myself, you know? So they shut down their own growth by saying that it's just luck to you, and they perhaps don't even realize it. So that's perhaps something that might help some of you become conscious of that. Maybe you do that with the guy, you know the classic story of like the guy who drives down the road in a Ferrari and people resent him. It's the people that go, that's fantastic.
How did he do it?
Yeah. That's fantastic, and celebrate his wins that actually free themselves from ultimately and have more success. Obviously, we're talking about you were talking about some dark times. You can go into some dark times. I know you, on a personal level, have been through a lot of dark times throughout your journey, whether it be with like the steroids or drugs, or, you know, toxic breakups and all this kind of stuff. Just when was the first time you went through your proper, your first real painful experience in regards to all that?
Like along the journey since I started kind of doing all this stuff at work.
Yeah. When did you start because obviously like everything that you've been through that I know on a personal level, like the steroids and that, everything came from an abuse, and the abuse at the time was to mask something else, right?
For sure.
Well, if we just talk about steroids as a specific example, you were taking the steroids at an excessive level to mask something else. What was the something else you were masking, and what were you trying to get from the steroids?
You see, when I was young, I was a bit naive, and I didn't look into it like that at my age when I was doing it, because, you know, that's about 7 years ago with the whole steroid abuse chapter of my life. And I was about 17, and a lot of my friends were doing it and big, and, you know, I played a lot of rugby, and I was never a very big kid. And I just started taking it just to put on size, to play better, to be stronger, to be bigger, to be performance enhancing. You know what I mean? It's cheating, really, but I just wanted a shortcut, and that's probably what it was I was trying to feel. I was trying to have a substitute for hard work, which isn't something that I usually stand for. And I didn't think into it like that when I was young, bro. I was just like, oh, cool, these boys are doing it. They're my friends, and they look cool, and they're cool guys. I'll do it too. Before you know it, it didn't become about like, oh, just putting a bit of size and strength and being better at rugby. It was like, okay, I want to get more of this and take more, and I just want to be fucking diced and muscly and just jacked and high sex drive, high energy, and just look good, pick up girls, look really cool, that whole like shit you go through when you're young. A lot of guys do. For 4 years there, I was just abusing so many different steroids at once when I was really young, and like my body wasn't even fully developed.
What kind of substances were you taking?
Testosterone, Sustanon 250, which pretty much do the same fucking thing. Went through stages with Deca. My face was like that. D-Bol, the tablets, Anavar. I tried Tren, tried Masteron, tried all this shit. Tried HGH when I was like 17, 18, which is fucked because doing that at that age, your body's like still really developing.
Wow.
Yeah, did clenbuterol, did that's probably about it for the 30,000 things I just suggested. But yeah, I wasn't doing all of them at once the whole time. You know, I would trial different things, see what I liked, but my head just started going, man, and I had to stop. I had to stop it all, and I just got off everything cold turkey. I didn't even know what PCT was. Just stopped taking everything cold turkey. My levels just went, and that's when my mental state just started getting really bad because my hormones would have just been fucked. My body wasn't producing testosterone. I probably stunted my natural human growth hormone development. Probably like just a lot of things, man. You know, they cause a lot of problems. I got off it and didn't touch it again for a very long time. And about 2-3 years ago, I saw a doctor. My testosterone levels were low as hell, like absolutely horribly low, to the point where you can have bad depression, no energy, no sex drive, no motivation, horrible sleep quality, easier to store fat, harder to lose fat, harder to gain muscle, harder to hold muscle. All these symptoms of low testosterone, mine was just really low, and I had higher estrogen because I abused so many things. So my doctor put me on testosterone replacement therapy, legally, safely, with blood tests, regular work with him to make sure I was on top of things, a really low amount of testosterone injections from the doctor, and that picked me back up to a normal level. I stayed at that, doing that for about 12, nearly 18 months, and then I gradually got off it properly, did all the things I was supposed to do, and since then my levels have been really good. Just take all natural supplements, things like that now. Things like maca powder can give you energy and can help you like have a higher sex drive. Things like tribulus, you know, there's zinc, there's diets you can take, there's things you can do to increase your testosterone and still get peak performance without having to inject shit or eat tablets or abuse your body and fuck shit up. So
it's just interesting to me because when I look at your whole life and how you've suffered through different things in your life, it started off with the abuse of steroids because steroids lowered your testosterone, which made you feel a certain way, which opened up the doors for other things to happen in your life, right? Maybe there's been times when you haven't felt fully fulfilled in what you're doing, or maybe not depression, but maybe more of a...
Well, that's around the time my back got really bad too, because I stopped playing rugby because I was just all about getting into the gym and looking fucking big. And, you know, the whole saying, use it or lose it, you know, and I stopped playing rugby, which means I wasn't using enough of my core strength, my back strength, my leg strength. I wasn't training, stretching, keeping strong. So my back just got really weak because I was doing bricklaying at the time. So it was just a stem of things, the back problems, the low testosterone, all these things. And then then a big bad breakup and making poor decisions. My brain chemicals were just fucking scattered.
So the how did the breakup come into all that?
With the whole
how did that all come together with the breakup and that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say like steroids as such caused a breakup. Like it was just my journey where I met a girl in the UK. She was an amazing person from the day we met to the day that we stopped dating. She was mature, respectful, and great. Handled the breakup amazing. She's a very strong, cool chick, you know. We haven't spoken in ages, and as you shouldn't, you know. Not all exes are going to stay friends and talk forever, which is great. I wish her well. She met a new person, and I was really happy for her because that's what she deserved and what she probably needed in her life. I couldn't provide what she wanted in somebody, and I think the steroids and all these things, like I kind of stopped it around about a year before we I was probably still doing it pretty close to the breakup. But yeah, you know, like as you were asked a question about like what was some traumatic experiences, what were some big things, and as you said, the steroid stuff there, and then my back pain started kicking in, then I went through a breakup. It was just a big chain reaction of just everything started happening, you know.
But what's interesting is that everything bad that was happening in your personal life, but everything good was happening in terms of your content creation at the same time.
Yep.
And this is like the kind of the fight that I could see you having from the outside looking in as you were going through that journey. I didn't know exactly what was going on in your life, but I could see that potentially like different things were going on at certain points in time where you're like, you know, you're having all this success with this content, you're kicking off, you get millions of views, but then are you truly happy because you got low test, you're struggling with this, that and the other, you're abroad? Because like, didn't you I mean, when you started to kick off here, didn't you go to the UK to catch up with Kristen, and then you started to collaborate, and isn't that when things started to really take off for you?
Yeah, so there was a kind of a timeline chapter, right? Like from, you know, when I started all the abuse and stuff, and I moved to the UK on a working holiday before I even was doing anything on social media, really. And that's where I met the girl I dated for 4 years or so, roughly like that. She moved back to Australia with me, kept abusing all kinds of shit. And, you know, all abusing like things like steroids and just all dumb shit. And like you said, you know, my career was going really well. I was blowing up. I was gaining internet fame, if you'd call it that, you know, and getting millions of views and all these things. And like you said, I feel as if I sacrificed a big chunk of my happiness, my mental health, a bit. Like it's like I sacrificed a lot of my health and well-being for this game, you know, like to put my life into this. I sacrificed relationships. I put things aside. I ignored health problems. I tried to take shortcuts with things, you know, like all I wanted was just to win, just to make things happen. And, you know, I did everything legally. I've never had to do things like breaking the law or rule on people's lives along the way or use people or take advantage of people. I've done everything really, really well. I've got a pretty good reputation, you know, like, and I've still got a lot of good friends from day one that were around still to this day. But yeah, it's just a lot goes on, man. And having like this crazy ADHD along this way has made everything just fucking, you know.
Were you put on like Ritalin for that?
As a kid, but I just gave it to all my friends. I didn't really like Ritalin.
You just sold it.
I didn't like it. Was weird as a kid, you know. I liked being like fucking a million mile an hour, and I liked that I couldn't focus. It was fun. The chaos was fun for me as a kid. And as I got older, I feel like because I didn't handle that shit as a kid and face that and try to dig to the root cause of it, I feel like my ADHD as an adult's gotten 30 times worse.
I think ADHD, because obviously it's something that I've gone through myself, I think when it's channeled into the right thing, you can actually use it.
Superpower.
Yeah.
Hyperfocus.
To really dial you in. Like, once I found podcasting and stuff, it worked for me. But when I tried to apply it to other things, it's worked massively against me. Yeah. So it's kind of like one of them things that you have to, when you actually do know where to focus it, ADHD is a brilliant thing. Yep. But whilst you're walking around life without this so-called purpose, without this meaning to it, or chasing things that you believe will give you meaning but are just vanity metrics, whilst you're doing that, whilst you got ADHD, you're fucked.
100%. And that's the thing, man. It's like people watch me on podcasts or see my content, they're like, oh, Jackson's coked out of his brain here. He's talking fast. I lose his focus. So he talks about this, then talks about that. I'm like, no, I've just got pretty bad ADHD, you know? And like, that's the thing for me is I do have a hard time focusing. But like you said, when you're doing something you know you really want to do, it's hyper focus, all in. And that's what I was like. You know, I started the videos and that's all I cared about. And then my relationship went to shit. My health went to shit because I'm an all or nothing person. It's like, if I've got a goal, it's like when I did OnlyFans with Maddie, you know, it's like, all in. Social media, fuck off. I don't care about you. Like, I'm just going hard on this. I don't care about my health. I don't care about nothing. I just want to get in and just do this better than anybody. You know what I mean? So it is true. Like, if you can learn how to use that and channel the energy of ADHD into something more powerful, and it can be huge.
Do you ever felt like you've lent your ladder against the wrong wall and the wrong metrics? Like, in terms of when you've got to this pinnacle outcome that you've imagined a certain way in your mind, when you get there, did you ever feel like really empty inside?
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
What was the first situation where that came in?
Because people, I don't know, man. It's like less friends along the way. You have to start. Your trust really gets tested because people will take advantage. People will try to come in and take a pie, like take a slice of the success you've earned. People will try to come in, take advantage of you, use you, pretend to be your friend, and once they get what they want, then they'll rinse you out. You're gone, and that's happened a lot of times with me.
Give us an example.
Like a bunch of boys I lived down with in Sydney, you know. I moved everybody into this house, covered all the bills. I probably had 20 grand to my name at the time. I'm not going to mention names or anything like that, but, you know, I moved into this house, paid all the bond, paid the rent, you know, paid all of food, all the videographing costs, editing things. And I said, let's move in. None of these guys really had like a following. I said, I want to move in. Like, let's just get 4 or 5 of us, make like a really fun group here. And let's do vlogs for my vlog channel for 12 months. I'll cover everything. And we'll make content. You don't have to spend a thing, you know. And I was helping them out. I was helping them grow on their Instagrams, their Facebooks, giving them ideas, putting them in touch with things. And all they had to do was just jump in my content. And the moment it started, after a couple of months, it was like, oh, was it all about Jackson Adody vlogs? I'm like, well, I told you this from the beginning. We're going to build up this vlog channel. I'll help you guys grow. After 12 months, see where we're all at. You guys probably could have a good career after the end of this. Like, This is when my vlogs were going crazy a few years ago. You know, I spent nearly everything I had to my name on the bond, on rent, on trying to, you know, buying cars so we could jump them into ponds. And I believed in the vision. And we started posting them, and they were going crazy. And then ego got involved with the other people, and they were like, "Oh, now that I've got a following, now that this, I don't want to be a part of his thing. I want my own thing." And it's cool. You know, I could sound hypocritical because I was building my own thing, but I was the one that had the following there, that was putting the money behind it, that was bringing the resources, had the ideas. I had the vision there for it. It's the same as if fucking, I don't know, Steven Spielberg called me and said, "Hey, mate, I want you in Jurassic Park or some shit." And I turn up and I'm like, "Oh, no, I don't want to be part of your thing. This is mine." It's just like, no, you just rock up if you're just there to be an actor or be a part of something. Like,
was that a similar thing then to what happened with you and the Shami situation and all that stuff? Because obviously you and him were building quite a viral thing. You were obviously good friends at the time. You're both winning in your own arenas, but you're coming together and making all this content. Is that a similar thing that happened where there was a kind of a miscommunication of value and substance in that relationship?
I think the thing with Shami, you know, like we don't really get along. We're not on good terms. We haven't been for a while. And I still, you know, whatever it is, I'm still friends with his brothers, still friends with his friends. We've got a lot of mutual friends. So it's something I don't really want to have a whole bunch of drama there for the rest of my life and grudges. It is what it is. I wish him the best. Our futures just weren't aligned. He wanted different things to me. I wanted different things to him. We got along really well. We had fun when we'd party. We'd have fun when we hang out. We were making videos and we were killing it. We're doing really well together. Then the moment, you know, business, money, other people, things get involved, it gets complicated and messy. And, you know, he's done really well for himself, and I'm content and happy with what I've done for myself. We've gone down different routes, done different things. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it at the end of the day, bro. It's just like, I'm not going to sit here and wish, you know, bad things upon anybody and sit here and live the rest of my life with hatred. I've let go of a lot of things. You know, he did things that I didn't like. I did things he didn't like. And at the end of the day, man, like when you're young and you get thrown into these things and then heaps of money comes out of nowhere, you're blowing up, you're gaining internet status and becoming known, shit's going to happen, man. Like that's going to happen with anybody. And you see it with the best of people, and people have falling outs, people have problems. It's, you know, we had a lot of similarities, but then we were also really different. So it's interesting when you talk about how, like, obviously as soon as money starts coming in for what you're passionate about, there starts to be a lot of egos attached to that money, and everyone wants what they perceive to be their fair slice of the money. Well, things just got tricky because he had like a new business partner, not someone he works with now, but one of his old business people. Him and them two have been going at each other in court for years. And I'm not going to mention names or go into too much detail. It's not my shit to tell. I'm just explaining that in the situation when you got a new business partner involved, it wasn't so much like, oh, Jackson and Shami doing their thing. It was, okay, now there's another guy on your end. It's like, okay, this isn't really like a team thing now. It's just like, you're doing your thing with your business partner. You guys are doing your shit. I'll do my own thing now and do stuff like that. And we're still cool. But that's just, you know, like you said, when the money gets involved and it becomes more about just like, how can we get paid? What's the business side? What can we do? Whereas I always was just chasing, like, I want to make people laugh. I want to blow up and just try to help people that are struggling mentally. Use my fuck ups through life, like my steroid abuse when I was young, to try to educate younger people or even older people to not make the mistakes. Things like that. I wanted to use my platform to be able to help people, make people laugh, smile, feel good. I didn't really care about the money. Yes, money is great. I've been able to help my family and I'm stoked with that. But yeah, you know, like, and there's nothing wrong with what he wanted. Not at all. It's like, he's entitled to that. And that's the thing. If you want money, like, go and chase that money if it makes you happy. But it's just, you know, when people's futures and their paths don't align, they don't align. And that's where we're at. I'm not going to say anything bad about him. Yeah, it's just what happens.
I think it's just the nature of life, isn't it? Like you were speaking about before that moment, you were speaking about how, you know, the cycle of friends changes as you go through this whole journey, and you have to be willing to let go to some extent of these different entities in life. You know,
yep.
You know, and that's just one of those things that along your path that kind of went down in like a kind of a social media history kind of way, which everyone had questions about. When I was obviously doing a bit of other deep research into you, like there was a lot of questions around that. That's why I asked that, because, you know, there's obviously a little bit of when those situations happened, there's obviously a little bit of, like, you'd have felt a little bit lost at that point, right? You'd have had to pick yourself up from what would have been a down moment.
Yeah, well, I'm an emotional dude, you know, like I'm not an emotional guy. I sit around crying all the time, but, you know, I feel things a lot, you know, like I I don't know whether it's to do with my ADHD, whether it's to do with other things. I can't really blame anything other than that's just the way I am. That's the way I was born, maybe the things I've been through. But I like to look at people as like, you know, family sort of thing. Like this is us, teamwork, these, that, the other. And then when things don't work out, it is disheartening. But you can't sit around and, oh, poor me, and cry about it and just fucking stay there and lost. And yeah, it does suck when things don't work out and you lose friends along the way. Like to this day, like since I've been up here, probably 1 or 2 people up here have been my friends for more than a few years. You know, like most of the people I grew up with, I'm not even friends with anymore.
Is that's got to be hard though, isn't it?
Yeah, it sucks, man. You grow up with people like the hometown stuff was shit. You know, like you grew up with a lot of friends, play sport with a lot of people, drink, party, hang out on the weekends, do all these things. You start trying to chase your dreams, and then people will put you down, including friends. They'll be the first people to tell you that you can't do it. A lot of not good friends, but I mean, people. I looked at everyone as good friends, and like, oh, you're not going to do this. You're attention seeking. You're like never going to get there. Blah blah blah. And then you start holding resentment back towards them for like, why don't you believe in me? What have I done wrong by you? Like, if you chase something, I'd be stoked for you. You know, like.
How are your friends that you have now? How many of them are like, you know, serious friends that have been around for a long period of time?
You got good focus.
Mate, I'm ice cold, bro.
My brain just starts getting a little bit distracted. What'd you say? Sorry.
So, out of the friends that you have now in life, how many of them are actually friends that have been around for a good period of time?
What would you say a good period of time is? Like,
well, at least like 5 years or more.
Oh fuck. Well, I mean, Lockie I've known for a while, but Lockie's been working with me for 3-4 years now. But before that, I never really knew him well. My mate Alex that lives up here, he does a bit of work on and off for me, just at a casual thing. He's from my hometown, but up here on the coast or Brisbane, people I like know here.
Just I mean, actually in life.
Anywhere in general?
In life, bro.
Oh, fuck all, bro.
Because the interesting thing about that for me is like, you know, if I think about how many actual true friends I've got, I've probably got about between 5 and 10. And I think I'm lucky to have that many.
I could say I've got that many.
Do you know what I mean?
And I'm happy with that.
But what I want people to understand is that as you pursue things like you pursue and you've pursued, like as you start to go up the ladders of whatever perceived success is to you, right? You start to shed you start to add a lot of weight mentally, but you start to shed a lot of weight in terms of people.
Yeah,
is essentially what happens.
I just got desensitized to it all as well, bro. I just stopped thinking into it. I was just like, this is what it is. And it gets depressing.
So at what point in your journey did you go to America and start to really blow it up out there?
I think I first went to America in 2017. I think it was 2017 maybe, yeah. Or maybe the year before, bro. But yeah, I went out there maybe early 2017-ish. And I think I was about 21 or 22 when I went there. And me and Shami were there together making videos, just doing like dare challenges and pranks and all sorts of shit. And we had a lot of fun. Our shit was going crazy out there. I was doing naked shadowboxing in the streets. And, you know, we were doing wild stuff together. I wouldn't say we blew up on an American market out there or anything like that, but our videos were still popping off and going well. But then when I went back in 2018 with my friend Kristen Hamby, we were doing really well. And then we started, we did a collab with the Nelk Boys, with Supreme Patty. We were in David Dobrik's vlog, hung around, you know, Jake and Logan Paul.
What is it like hanging around with that level of creator?
Well, going from where I was here in Australia to only knowing a handful of creators here to getting out of here and then being the next step, you know, it's like out there, I'm like, whoa, I'm around these people. Like, this is all achievable. I could be doing exactly what these people are all doing, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted. Like, I'm not good at running like big structure or organizing, having heaps of people work for me and all these things and a big team. I like to just have an intimate, small little circle group of people. We just grind. Yeah, maybe we'll make less money and make less work and things, but I don't know, having that many people around me all the time working, it'd just be too hard to keep track of.
Is that one thing you noticed about then those creators is the fact of like how much back of house team there is in like a Logan Paul?
Well, they wouldn't have to use their brains for anything. They've literally got everyone around them like just like do this, do that, say this, say that, post this, post that, talk about this brand, talk about that. You have to say this, call this person out, box here, be here, train there. Like your food's cooked for you.
So that's the level of organization that's around a Jake Paul, a Logan Paul, Net, all the.
But they're cool dudes, bro. Like I've got nothing but good things to say about them. I've spent actual time around them, so I can say from experience. Everyone that hates them has never met them in person. It's like, oh, I hate him because you see what you see online. But that's a persona to an extent. You know, I went on Logan's podcast. I went to some of Jake's fights. He flew us out there back in 2020. You know, I've spent a decent amount of time around those boys, whether it's just being in content or having a beer, drinking, whatever. They're really nice guys, man. And, you know, I get along with them both pretty well. Nothing bad to say about them. But yeah, the organization behind them, they've got fucking monstrous teams working for them.
So is that what you're trying to systemize in your content creation now? You're trying to systemize the back of house team so that you can go and take it to the next level?
Nah, not really. Like, I've tried a few times to like really build a team around me and stuff, but I'm just so OCD and anal with everything. And it's like, to get people to do the right jobs, like other than Lockie and maybe my friend Alex, it's been really hard to find people to do like the jobs that I want to the level that I want, like my standard level of things. So it just creates more problems and stress and just gets me irritated because it's so hard to find people to do a good job, you know?
But how are you going to scale into it without the right people on the bus?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Like, teamwork makes the dream work. You need people steering you the right way and stuff. But I don't know. I've got trust issues as well. So it's like, I don't know how I'd feel about just having all these people swoop in and be like, do this, do that. We need you here. We need you there. Like, give us some money, give us that. Take a big percentage of my work, you know? I know in terms to go to the next level and to make more and to do more, yes, you need a team around you of people to do those things. But I don't think that that's what I want, man. And it's not about being lazy or it's not about that. It's more just I'm content to make just like the money I've made and just try to stay at that level. And I don't want to be at that level where I can't go down the street without having fucking heaps of people running up to me. Like, I like that people still come up to me where I'm at and stuff in public now, but I don't want to be at that level of like the Paul brothers or anything where, you know, you live under a microscope.
You mentioned trust there. It's interesting you mentioned that because what was the first point in your life that you felt your trust was broken?
Oh, that's a good question. I've never been asked that. Not even from a therapist.
Like the real first point.
I honestly can't track back to the first point. Like with career things, there's definitely
No. This happened in your childhood.
Yeah,
so this wasn't in your career, bro. The trust issue that I can see in your eyes right now happened in your childhood, not in your career.
Yeah, no, it's a good question, man. I really like that. It's a unique question, but I don't know if it's, you know, when I started doing the videos, maybe, you know, and like I had heaps of friends and stuff just start really hating on it, and everyone would sit in groups and be like, oh, let's all report his videos so he can't get his videos out there to the world and stuff. And this is back in early days. Sometimes it would get removed, sometimes it wouldn't. People still do mass reports now, but now there's all the AI and systems set up, so you can't just report a video and it's gone. But maybe things like that, you know, like a lot of friends I grew up with that I was good to, that I hung out with all the time, that I thought were really good friends, turning, but who knows?
It's interesting. Did you ever experience like a point in your life where like your mum or your dad, you felt like they compromised your trust, or a family member?
Nah, not really, man. My family was always pretty good. Like, it wasn't a perfect childhood, but it wasn't terrible. Like, no, I don't know, man. I always credit my mom for doing an amazing job. She gave everything, you know. My mum and dad worked religiously hard. You know, it's hard to get everything right as parents. It's hard to get everything right as a human, let alone as a parent. Like, it's a lot to take on, especially in a lower middle sort of class family. You know, you got to work really hard. It's hard to save. It's hard to get ahead. Anything bad happens and then you're pretty screwed until you figure it out. But no, I don't know, man. I love my parents dearly and I give them a lot of credit. They did a great job, especially dealing with me as a kid. I wasn't easy. So
the only reason I ask you is because at different parts in my life, the key things that have moved me forward and allowed me to answer questions in other areas down my timeline is the fact of like understanding when did that feeling first come into my life and being able to process that and actually truly box that off. And when you box off that inherent feeling of where it first started, it then as a chain reaction frees you from all the other events. Because if you constantly go through life feeling like you can't trust anybody, then you are in a state of fight or flight, which means you're always on edge because you always think someone's going to fuck you over. That's why I ask you what happened in your childhood.
No, you know, I understand that. I just, I can't really come up with a good answer for that.
That's all right. It's just something to think on, to take away. It's like to think on into that, because I guarantee you when you think into that,
it does create those traumas though, bro. Like I said, like a bunch of my mates and that, you know, not wanting to see me do well, not wanting to support me, not wanting to help, I didn't need help. I didn't need anyone to do anything. I didn't need people to go against me.
You just wanted to feel like people had your back at that moment.
I just didn't want people to go against me because, you know, if some of my friends where I grew up, if they made it into like, I don't know, NRL or played with like rugby union in the Australian team, or if they became an actor or a famous fucking artist or something, I'd be the first person to be like, congratulations, I'm extremely happy for you. Well done. Give me any information or any tips you can. I would love any advice, you know? But a lot of people were just like, oh no, fuck that, he's this, that, the other. Like, blah, blah, blah. But then years later, they all come back. Oh, promote my fucking t-shirt company. Promote this. Like, hey, can you help me out with that? Or hey, I'm looking at starting this. Would you shout this out? I'm like, well, where were you? You know, where the fuck were you when I started this shit? Like, and I was never a cunt back, but I wanted to be.
Yeah, no, I get it, because do you find that in Australia specifically that there's a lot of tall poppy syndrome?
100%. That's one thing that I really experienced in the early days, you know, because I grew up in a small town. And it was really bad. Then I left to go to a bit bigger of a town, which was Newcastle. And then you're exposed to more people and more friends, bigger circle, things happen. And then it's even worse. And then you kind of just realize you can't really get away from it. What you can't control, or you can't always control what people are going to think or say about you, or how they judge you. You can control how you react to it. And I just learned to just not even read it, look at it, not care, just talk to my good friends, do what I felt was right, and just kept going full steam ahead of my goals and what I wanted to achieve. And everyone else, fuck them. You know what I mean?
Has that trust issue that you obviously have within yourself, has that affected the depth of relationships you can build with what could potentially be good friends, what could potentially be a good partner? Mm-hmm. Is that kind of really?
I'd say so. Yeah, I'd say so. I'm not ashamed to admit anything, man. I'd say so for sure. Throughout my life, there's been times I've never really been like rude to people and like just had big falling outs for no reason, you know. But there's been reasons where there's been ways and times where I've held myself back from what could have been a good relationship or could have been a good friendship. But yeah, yes, buts, maybes. It is what it is. It's life.
So when what was your kind of thinking then around, you've got this beautiful girlfriend, this Maddie at the time, you're dating in America, you've met her. What was your thinking behind going all in on OnlyFans? Because surely that's something that's going to be toxic towards any relationship that you actually have meaning in.
Well, there's a lot of relationships, man. Like it's, I agree and I disagree. I think there is a lot of relationships and couples out there that do an amazing job at balancing work and life, and they just genuinely love it, and they grind, they make their money, they do OnlyFans, and they're happy. I've seen healthier couples that do OnlyFans together than I have couples that don't do OnlyFans together. It's just personal preference. Everyone's different. Some people handle things different. The reason I started doing it was, excuse me, I made an OnlyFans page to do pranks on about 4 or 5 months before I met Maddie. And I was posting all the nudie runs, the crazy shit that we were doing, and like new pranks I'd make or new dares or new things I'd do that were a bit too extreme for social media. I was posting them on an OnlyFans page, right? And then I went out to LA. Jake Paul flew me and Kristen on a private jet with all the boys and that to Miami to watch his fight. Party, got fucked up for a week. I was around Vitali at the time. And he's had a pretty up and down journey as well. He's done some dumb things, you know. And then I watched him around this stuff and I was like, whoa, he's making so much money at the moment with his website. He's had all these like things going. I was like, this is a good lifestyle, what you're doing here. Like, this is cool. You're making sick money. It's just girls having fun and blah, blah, blah. It didn't end well, but went back to LA, went to Dan Bilzerian's Valentine's Day party, and me and Maddie knew of each other. We'd never really spoken much. We met and we started dating, and she was doing OnlyFans, and then we decided, you know what, let's do an OnlyFans page. We'll make some funny like nude skits, no porn, no XXX content, just get in, have a crack, have fun, blah, blah, blah. I was living in LA with her, started doing it, and then we had this influx of like 40 to 50,000 subs from the moment we started it, because we released like a viral video and like a flip the switch video, and I had the idea of doing like viral adult-related TikTok skits as like my niche for it. And we did that, posted it, all these subs came in, I was like, sex tape. I'm like, fuck, you know what? I was already bored and sick of social media already because it was so strict. And I'm one of those people, man. It's like, it's hard for me to do things that I don't enjoy doing. And, you know, I was in a comfortable, convenient situation with my like finances where I was with life. So I had the freedom and the blessing of being able to choose if I didn't or did want to do things. So I was a bit sick of making the funny videos, a bit sick of doing that shit. And me and Maddie were like, fuck it, let's just go hard with this. Let's make it worth it. Let's do it right. All or nothing. And yeah, we got involved, and it was a lot of fun for the most part, but yeah.
But I can already feel from that it tested your mentals out a lot. That did, you know what I mean? Because obviously, you I know that you had a lot of unconditional love for that girl. Like just by looking at the way you talk about her, I know that there's unconditional love there. So how having your unconditional love is in the woman that you love as a work project as well. How does that psychologically affect?
Well, it wasn't work to begin with. It was like we met, we fell in love with each other really quickly, and it was hot, it was fun, it was wild. I hadn't met a girl like that before that was that crazy and fun, not crazy in a bad way. And, you know, our energy was pretty matched and we're pretty fun together. And it was like, whoa, we can just make heaps of money together and have fun and just enjoy our time. And it was never like, oh, do you want to like work? We just met each other, started dating. Should we work together? It was never about that. It was like the same reason I started doing social media in the beginning wasn't for money. You know, OnlyFans is different because obviously you're making money quickly. But in terms of Maddie, it wasn't like, oh, let's date so we can make money. It was never about that. It just eventually did become about that, you know.
And how much money were you making in those days?
Oh man, the first few months were insane. You know, we're making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month for a while there, and
just from like little, that wasn't even from the main sex tape, was it?
No, we got 50,000 subs paying $10 a month, and you know, then on top of that, there's content you could sell, content you could do. It just is what it is. So
it's and obviously you went from that, and obviously you invested the money in real estate and stuff like that. So a lot of good came out of it.
And tax. Fuck you, Australian government, for that.
So even though you was based in America at the time, you still had to pay Australian tax?
Yeah, well, I was still technically a tax resident of Australia because I bought a house before I started OnlyFans. Like, I bought a house, you know, in the Gold Coast. I bought a house here, and, you know, I was already doing okay for myself before I did that. It was never a desperate ploy, like, I have to get money. It was like, I was content making the money I was making. I just wanted to have fun, try something new. Met Maddie, it felt natural, it felt right in the moment. But yeah, it's just, yeah, the tax and stuff here is fucking shit.
Mate, I fully get where you're at with that, with the tax situations. At the end of the day, right? It's kind of a country that I feel that if you're not structured in certain ways, it's not incentivized for you to go and do more, is it?
Well, really? They don't want people to make money here, man. Like, I know it sounds all conspiracy theory bullshit, but it's like, if people here start making good money, then they slowly lose control of those people. So they want to take as much as they can. You buy a house here, oh, hey, 20, 30, 40 grand stamp duty. Before, oh, it's because the government can. You know, it's like people just take, the government here just takes. They don't want you to make money unless they have full control over you. They don't want you making money. So they'll just, man, the taxes here is horrible. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, I know people that make hundreds of millions here that are very successful, and even they get smacked on the tax systems, or, you know, but as you go through business, the tax breaks benefit you on more and more as you go through the tax code, as you go through the levels of wealth, you know, from the 10s to the 50 millions, you're obviously going to be a lot better off in terms of like the advice you're given and the kind of weight you can have. So it's all, but as a creator, someone like yourself who's just going out there trying to make his millions out of, you know, OnlyFans or other or content creation, you're going to get smacked at the highest level if you're not structured right.
Well, that's it. It's like, I didn't grow up with money, so giving away that much money that I've given away, it's just like, it's just not a good feeling. But at the same time, people will watch me like, oh, well, yeah, poor you, you know, you made millions of dollars, had to give a couple $100,000. But no, you know, I've paid well over $1 million in the last 2 years of tax. And from where I grew up, I wouldn't have even been making 30 grand in a year. 30 grand in a year, that's fucking...
I suppose you can look at it two ways though. You can either look at it of like, you know, you've paid more in tax than you'd ever wished to earn.
Oh, hell yeah.
Which is fantastic, because that means you've earned a phenomenal amount of money. So you can structure it two ways. You can look at it as an empowering thing or a disempowering thing. It's just like, obviously for the future, are you looking to move abroad? Are you looking to structure yourself better like that? Or how are you going to move like
I've always spent a lot of time overseas every year. This is the longest I've been in. This year alone has been the most I've spent in Australia since I was like probably 18. And I don't know, like, about moving abroad. I wanted to move to Dubai. I got a bit sick and came home, and I was in a bit of a weird spot. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just going with the flow at the moment. I'm trying to not think too far ahead. Just take each month as it comes, really. Like, I know I'll be back overseas shortly. I'll be back in Dubai. From there, I'll probably go Mexico or back to America for a bit.
Dubai is somewhere I've been, and obviously I'm thinking about being for certain periods of time in my life, but it's not a place you could be all year round.
No, hell no. The air quality is horrible. It is a very fake, materialistic place, and they have a lot of strict rules around things that I enjoy doing, and it is a great place. I'm not going to knock Dubai. Like, I love going there, and I've got a lot of friends that live there, and I think it's
a place you hit and then you leave, don't you?
Yeah. It's not sustainable to live somewhere like that. Like, I know a lot of people that live there and they say like, oh, I really want to like move or leave and stuff. And I'm like, why don't you? Like, you know, there's just like, that's the thing about Australia. I can sit here and complain about my tax, about all this bullshit but you know, you come to Australia, the roads here for the most part are good healthcare, pretty much, good schooling, you know, like we get it pretty good out here. So
In terms of countries in the world, and I've been to a lot of countries, like this is the best overall to live and work and
living conditions,
and all that kind of stuff. But the problem that I find with Australia is the fact of like, even if you get to the top of the game that you're in, i.e. content creation or podcasting, you know, it's like you're capped now.
Yeah,
that's your level. Well, you gotta go somewhere else to get to a new fucking
spread
level.
Those wings,
and you gotta spread those wings. So what you must be considering America again and sending it over there.
Yeah, for sure. I'll go back there probably December. I'll probably be back there. I've got a few good things happening over there that I'm going to work on, a few podcasts of my own and jump on my friends over there. Probably just try to get on heaps of other people's podcasts while I'm out there and just, you know, spread my messages, talk about my stories, promote myself, just, you know, get over there and have some fun and see what happens. I've always wanted to do acting eventually. Maybe that's something down the line, but who knows?
So what actually makes you happy at the moment?
It's a good question, man. Like, I love working out. I love just being fit and healthy. I know that that's like it's not like, it is something, it does count. It's like, I love training. I'd spend my whole day based around like running down to the beach, swimming, working out, lifting weights, doing boxing, eating healthy, hitting the recovery centers, doing oxygen work, all these. That shit makes me feel amazing. I love it. I like hanging out with my friends and getting outdoors and doing stuff. In terms of work, I don't know. I love making podcasts.
So if that's what genuinely lights you up and genuinely makes you happy, why wouldn't you structure your life to do more of that and less of like the OnlyFans stuff and all that stuff? I feel like that stuff, you've done your day with it. You know, you've done your day with it. It's kind of like it's kind of like a thing. I know we're talking pre-podcast. Maybe you do a bit more. Maybe you don't. You're unsure. But like, why wouldn't you spend your time focusing actually putting your money now, because you've got enough money really, like when you break it down, investing into what you actually truly love?
Yeah, that's a good question. I just haven't really put the thought there. It's like I'm still attached to doing other things that have worked in the past, you know? Like, I would have stopped making videos 3-4 years ago, but there's just something in me that I just can't let go of, and I'm just like, I just want to keep doing it, you know? It's not the OnlyFans stuff. It's like, if I could have stopped making videos 3-4 years ago, I probably would have. I would have moved into something else, but I didn't know what else. So I've stayed doing these things that work and that people enjoy because I didn't know what else to kind of do. And with my brain, it's hard for me to find things that I truly enjoy. But when I do, like I said, I'll go crazy hard with it, but I've struggled to find something for the last couple of years.
Do you find yourself that you're making stuff then for everyone else but you at the moment?
Oh yeah, I've always put a lot of people before me, however it looks or whatever people may think. I've always made sure people around me, like I've done a lot of things for people where I haven't been in the position to do it. I've helped a lot of people, and I always try to put other people, you know, I want to make videos so people can laugh and feel good and be entertained. I've always done these things, but yeah, that makes sense.
The only thing that doesn't sit well with me is like that I feel like you are making videos at the moment for others, but ultimately you got to be filled up with your cup yourself. And like, maybe, I don't know what the answer is in terms of, only you know the answer, but the answer as far as I can feel into it is like, you got to lean into more of what lights you up, because you're in the position now where you've built a career that allows you to do that.
Yeah.
You can't live your life trying to make other people laugh. You've got to make yourself laugh, haven't you?
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's the thing. I've been over making pranks and all that stuff for a while. I don't want to end up in my 30s and 40s fucking pouring water on my friends while they sleep and pretending to laugh and all that shit. Like, you know, but that's the same thing. I've got friends that do it, and good on them. I'm not going to hate on that. But the thing is, I've developed an audience through those things. That's what the people that follow me now want to see. So I do things like a podcast, and everyone, it's like, to get someone to commit to an hour podcast to watch it, like they're used to watching a 1-minute video of me, just instant action, instant, like, crazy shit.
Yeah.
So for me and I love making podcasts. That's one thing that lights me up, and I've been going good with that, you know. I haven't been this consistent with something in a long time, you know. I've filmed months and months in advance, and I've got future guests planned, future topics. I know where I want to take the show. I know what I want to do with it. So that's been good fun for me. But yeah, it's just, you know, it's almost like starting from zero again, because, you know, I've developed millions and millions of followers online across all platforms for crazy dare videos, skits, pranks, challenges, all these things. So to sit down and start doing podcasting, people are like actually finally hearing me speak properly and sit down and talk for an hour, 2 hours on things. And all these people, that's not the content they really enjoy. And they don't follow me for that. For them to look at me It's like watching, I don't know, it's like watching like a movie actor who only does extreme action movies go and do like a love movie. And, you know, it's just like two different things. So my audience and my followers who have like enjoyed me, to get them to enjoy this new style of content, it's just going to take a long time. It's almost like I'm trying to pretty much develop a whole new audience again.
Yeah, because you're a bit like Jason Statham. Jason Statham can only do an action film at the moment. You know, he couldn't do a romantic love scene because it's just not just how Jason Statham rolls, is it? We know him as a guy who's going to roll in there and shoot some people and smash some faces.
Liam Neeson, every movie's the same.
Yeah, 100%. So like, how do you plan to pivot that amount of audience into podcasting, into that kind of long format content when let's face it, the most attention span that most of your audience has is 4 seconds,
literally. And I don't know, man. I really don't know how it's going to happen. I just think consistency. If people, the way for my mental state to stay clear through this is like no expectations. Like, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm passionate about it. I'm going to keep making it. I'm spending a fair bit of money on creating them and I'm making no money and I don't care. I'll do that for a while. We'll see what happens. If in a year from now, 2 years from now, if it's not for me, then so be it. But I don't really care if they stay getting the views they're getting. I'm happy with the views they're getting. You know, they're getting 10 to 20,000 views on YouTube. And
mate, you're doing brilliantly on YouTube. But
YouTube's
always been a stronghold to you.
Yeah.
I think the benefit that you have as a podcaster is the fact of like, you know, you built up a really great following. So even if you said like 10% of your audience watch podcast, 10% of your audience at 2 million is a lot more foundational listeners to a podcast than what I started with. You know, I started from zero, like literal zero, because I wasn't creating content on the internet. So it's like that's a positive. You got to take that as a positive. You know what I'm saying? So
it's the same thing, vice versa, bro. You've gotten a name for yourself and done well and done things with the podcasting. Whereas if you started making like quick 30-second viral wild pranks and dares and doing dumb shit, maybe the guys that have followed you and the people that follow you for your podcast, they might not even like to see that stuff. You know, it's just the same thing flipped, really.
100%. It's just you gotta. That is the case in point. The case in point is like, you know, as any content creator, anyone putting content on the internet, the content first has to serve you before it can serve others. And that's why I was pushing you in this podcast about and challenging you on thinking about, you know, why create 4-second videos, because that clearly is not what lights you up anymore. Like,
it did. It served me well for a good part there, but I grew out of it. I wanted to try new things, and like I did enjoy doing the short things at one stage of my life.
At one stage,
for a good while. I absolutely loved it, but the last couple of years it's something I've been over, and it's something I keep revisiting and stopping, and then thinking like, oh, I don't want to do it, but I probably should. Or what if I don't do it? Is this going to fall behind? But now I've let go of all this shit, man. I'm just like, I'm okay. I'm at peace. I'm like, I don't need to be like the guy or be like known as like this person doing crazy viral shit and really famous. I don't need to be known as that. Like I'm so fine with like just moving into other things. People want to support it and follow it, so be it. That's cool. But I'm in a good position, and you know, I've got a few good ideas for my future that I know will work. And it's not over till it's over.
Do you reckon you'll ever do things like, you know, like just one day, just be here today, gone tomorrow kind of thing?
What do you mean?
Like just like one day, just be like, right, I'm out.
Yeah, I could see that one day. I could see that. Yeah, I could see that one day, but I don't know. The showman inside me would probably just never really want that. You know, it's like, I don't know. I feel like I was made to entertain people and to do things, whether I want to do it or not. That's like, I will probably walk away eventually and just have a day where I'm like, boom, see, that's the end of this. But for the time being, this is where I'm at, and I don't want to focus too much on the future. You know, it's like they always say, if you're thinking too much about the future, you're gonna have anxiety. If you think too much about the past, you could be depressed. Just trying to live in the moment.
So how do you set goals and all that kind of stuff in your life? Do you have like a vision board type scenario? Do you write things down? How are you structuring it all?
No clue, bro. Literally just floating around, just taking each day as it comes. I got a few things in my, you know, I got a lot of business ideas, a lot of projects, a lot of content ideas, things I want to do, guests I want to get on my own podcast. I wouldn't say like a vision board, but I've got a lot of stuff in my notes, in my diaries, in my books, all these things. I do a bit of writing and journaling and shit like that. So there is things I want to achieve and things I want to do, but for the near future, like this surgery, bro, like it's tested me and it's set me back a lot with a lot of things. It's been a really wild year this year. So I've just my brain's a bit scrambled, but, you know, it'll all come back together eventually. It wasn't an easy surgery to commit to. You know, it's 3-4 months out of your life completely.
Obviously that was where they had to go through your front into your spine, wasn't it? That is mad, mate.
Yeah, they cut through the front, move the organs aside, cut through the abs or whatever, and, you know, they pulled the discs out or moved them, whatever the fuck they did, then 3 titanium discs straight in, then screws behind them to lock them in until like a calluses starts growing over, restitch the abs, close you back up, catheter in the cock. It was horrible, man. But, you know, it's just...
That was something you had to go over to get rid of this constant pain you were saying that you were facing every day of your life.
I didn't time things well this year, but I mean, it's better now than never. And I think, feet are all cool. But once I'm good, like once I'm through this, I feel like I'm going to be the strongest and happiest and most clear-headed I've been, man. Like this year, you know, I went through a minor surgery in March in Mexico. Failed surgery, made me so much worse.
A failed surgery in what?
I got a thing called a discectomy where they shave off a bit of the discs to stop from herniating. Yeah. And it just made everything so much worse. And I don't know why, but it did. And then I was on heaps of medications after it, painkillers, things that were interacting with the medications I was on at the time. Then a week after that, went through the breakup, came back to Australia, you know, and went to Dubai, got really sick, came back, decided it's time to sell the house, sold the house, got back surgery. It's just been like one thing after another this year, and it's been really hard for me to sit down and have an honest, clear-headed think about, okay, what is it I'm going to be doing? Like you said, do I have goals, vision board, these things? It's been really hard this year to actually plan or think or write goals because... I've been very restricted, you know. I've been wanting to do a boxing match for years, but my back's just really held me back. I can still whack, I can still train hard, I can still do things, but I just could never really break through the next level with my back hurting so much.
Because as you turn into punches through the hips, your back would feel like it twinged.
Oh, mate, it was just because all my discs were degenerated and herniating and everything. It was just bone rubbing on bone. And I was throwing the fucking fridge door behind every punch as hard as I can. I'm just aggressive and I just throw hard punches. And I would take a few painkillers, rub deep heat all over my body, get in there and stretch, move around. Take me like an hour just to warm up to be able to actually box. Then I would train really well. The moment I go home, shower, sit down, I'm frozen for the day. I can't move after it, you know, just... My body is just pretty much paralyzed for the rest of the day. I can't do it. I've left it all there. No energy for anything else. Always drained from the pain. So it causes you to be a bit irritated, drained. It can make you feel demotivated. You sit around because I'm a high energy, active person. Like I'm an athletic dude. I want to train. I want to be fit and healthy. But that's one thing that I've always loved. I've never missed more than a week in the gym my whole life until this back surgery. No matter how sore, no matter how down, no matter how depressed, no matter how injured. If my fucking back's been shit, cool, I'll go and do some leg curls. If my legs are fucked, I'll go do some bicep curls. If I can't, I've always enjoyed exercise. I've always enjoyed getting out and being active and playing sports and things. So my back problems, to have that, a lot of that taken away from me, you know, and just all these things happening at once. It's been a really hectic, chaotic year. With the house selling thing was really stressful, but...
So walk me through why you sold what was your dream house. Because when you bought that, wasn't that your dream house?
It was, and, you know, it still was a great house till the day that I left, but... Things happen, man, you know, like you think things are what they are until you get them, you know, like I got the house and it was great. We had some big parties, had a lot of fun, and I'm very, very grateful for the memories.
Very wild parties.
Oh, mate, the parties were crazy, dude. They were nuts. And I'm going to do more. Like it's not ruled out forever. I'm going to for sure throw some more parties.
I'm sure them parties would have cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah, I spent nearly $300,000 across, you know, 2 to 3 parties there. And it's just, it wasn't monetizable. Didn't make any money. You know, I spent nearly all of my own money on everything. The only thing that was really covered was the alcohol. So
yeah, you must have got sponsored by a few. But that what you had like Nitro Circus people in this sphere at one.
Oh party. Yeah, they weren't actually the Nitro Circus guys. We had the Globe of Death or whatever you call it, where the 2 motorbike riders going around. I was standing in the side. We had circus guys, the jetpack guys flying around in a pool. We had
chicks on
sword
stilts.
swallowers, stilt walkers, fire breathers. We had girls in bowls in the pool and shit. We had strippers. Man, it was just a crazy party, and I'm never ever going to be regretful. Money comes and goes, to provide that kind of entertainment, that kind of fun and party for the people there, for all these things, and to make the content to watch back forever. I wouldn't care if I ended up broke in a ditch one day. I can go on YouTube I could just fucking watch it and be like, cool, I did this. This was fun. Like, no regrets. It is what it is. Money comes and goes, and a lot of people are too selfish to provide fun for other people. And I probably wasn't even in the financial position where I should have done that. But I did, because I wanted people to have fun and I wanted to put on a good time, and I wanted to be like, cool, if people think of partying and me, they're going to know that it's going to be good. You know?
Did you know at the time that when you start, like when you start planning for these parties, do you know at the time they're going to cost you 100 grand at the start? I don't think you do you? Nah. I think they just expand to cost 100
It just
grand.
keeps getting worse. I was like 50K should cut everything, and then 50K is gone like that. I'm like, fuck, how do we make this cheaper? And
because you put a boxing ring in your house, didn't you?
I bought the boxing ring after one of the big parties, but I had that in my house, and it was so much fun, mate. I actually didn't do that till January, but the boxing ring was sick. We had girls in there in lingerie, just like fighting and having fun, and it was awesome, man. It was a great chapter of my life. But like I said, the house maintenance was like $4 or $5 grand a month on top of like the mortgage repayments, and it wasn't. I didn't leave there because I couldn't afford things. I'm still was making great money. It was easily affordable. But
it's a waste, isn't it? It's a waste.
It's a waste, mate. Especially when I spend so much time overseas. You know, I was living there by myself for the last 3-4 months, and you know, to be spending that kind of money, that maintenance, it was stressful. And a lot of people knew where I lived. People would knock on the door every day. Oh, is Jackson here? Can I say hello? And I appreciate all my supporters and stuff, and it's great. But I like to have a nest. It's like inside of my home is the only place in the world where I would like to just be left alone. Yes, I threw the big parties, but that's at my own accord. I don't want people rocking up, knocking on my door to say hello. People driving past, yelling at my name. Like, it just. Yeah, I didn't really like. I want to have like a bit more of a private thing, and obviously throwing big parties for the public and friends, and people come like people are going to know where I live, and people are going to. It's fine. I don't have many enemies or anything like that, but I was just kind of over a few things, and I thought I need to focus on myself. You know, I went through that breakup, and it reset a lot in my brain. And I thought, all right, it's time to just. It's now or never. I need to get my shit together. I need to get on top of my health, my back problems, so I can start fighting. You know, and I had to go through that breakup, and I just had to go through a lot of things this year, man. And
I think in life you go through a fair few stages, and I feel like I'm at a stage in my life, and maybe you're at the same stage, where you have to remove a lot of stuff to allow a lot of other stuff to come in. And I think you have to be willing to let go of things that might be painful. Like I imagine just letting go of a house that was a dream to you is harder than you actually make out, because you do become attached to these things.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Like when I sold it, the whole first month I was like, fuck, should have I sold that? Like, should I? And then I was like, no, you just got to remind yourself of the things that you didn't like about it, you know, because there's a reason I wanted to sell it. And, you know, once you keep reminding yourself that, it does make the process a bit easier. But like you said, I just wanted to front everything and do everything this year and get it done with, because, you know, I'm grateful for the breakup, as hard as it was, you know, like it's taught me things, and I feel like I'm growing as a person and evolving. And now the next relationship, if I have another relationship anytime soon, now I'll know things that I can do differently, ways I can act differently, ways I can be more intimate and supportive and present, you know, and not as selfish with my time. Selling the house, you know, next time I buy a house now, I'll be a little bit smarter and make sure it's in the right spot. Is it everything that I want it to be? You know, I've got my back surgery now. There's no holds back. I'm going to fight next year. KSI's manager, Mams Taylor, he's reached out a few times and asked if I want to fight on one of those cards.
So, on the undercard or fight KSI?
No, fight on one of the undercards in London next year. So stick around.
My mate Tommy Martin in the early days trained Deji.
Oh yeah,
his brother.
Yeah,
so
cool.
I saw Deji's lack of training before a couple of his fights. You know, like
some people are just. It's going to be hard for them to get that skill. Some people just naturally are more coordinated than others, I think.
Yeah, he's just not made for that. She's not made for that game. Deji's not made for that game.
You know, with me, they're all nerds, bro. They're nerds. They're like just nerdy dudes. And there's nothing wrong with being a nerd.
You actually like boxing for a start. So
I enjoy boxing. I enjoy violence. I enjoy training. I enjoy physical contact sports. I grew up playing rugby league for 8 years, then union for 3 years, and I've always been in and out of different sports. I definitely had my fair share of, you know, punch-ups growing up, whether it's in sports or not. And just, not that I enjoy inflicting pain on people. It doesn't make me happy, but it's like, I don't know. It's just like it's just something that lights me up.
It's masculinity.
Exactly.
It's masculinity.
Nothing wrong with it.
Like the whole world's trying to take masculinity out of the world right now.
Like the moment I get in this boxing ring, the moment, like they're going to be like, whoa, this isn't like a YouTuber fighting. This is like some just psychopathic dude with some built up problems that just wants to fuck these cunts up. And that's what I'm going to do. Like, I'm scared.
Where do they come from? Because obviously that's something.
There's a built-up rage in there, bro, and some people are going to cop it when I get in that ring, because it's unfair for them to let me fight the YouTubers, because I don't look at myself as that. It's like, I'm a social media dude. I'm a bit reckless. I'm a wild man. Yes, I have a sensitive side and I like to talk and get deep, but make no mistake, I can switch up. I can turn that adrenaline on and I can get some rage there, calculated anger, calculated rage, and a bit of chaos, and I will not feel their punches. I will not be worried about anybody, bro. I'll put my hand through someone's head. Like, it'll be dangerous. Someone's going to leave on a stretcher when I fight.
No, I believe you, but I've just, throughout this podcast, it's like you've come alive when you're talking about boxing.
Yeah, well, it's something I've wanted to do, and the back problems have caused a lot of mental frustration. It's not even like, I'm not like, fuck you, I can go box and make millions of dollars because I have an audience. It's like, I want to do it to go in there and prove that there's not one guy that does this social media shit that's going to leave that ring like conscious. You know what I mean? Like, I want to get in there and prove something.
But why do you need to prove anything to anybody?
It just makes me feel good. I want to prove that these guys that are acting these ways and talking like they're about it and that they can do this and they can do that, they're all shit. Like, I'm watching their boxing and none of them are good. Like, Logan and Jake are doing okay. I'm not saying this because I'm friends with them, but even Jake's fight against Anderson Silva, he looked like he was gassing out. He had a lot of holes in his game. He was getting hit pretty easily.
Have you seen some of the back clips to that fight, the slow-mos?
No.
I'll show you some after this podcast.
You've done boxing, you'd know what it's like. I don't rate any of their skills, really. Like,
well, it's not so much that. It's more of a I'll show you a clip after this podcast, but the clip where Anderson Silva goes down with a check right hand over the top from Jake Paul.
I did see that, yeah.
Yeah, right. It was staged.
No shit.
It was
he just
staged.
took a knee. He didn't really get knocked down.
No. He didn't get hit at all. And I'm just saying that a lot of this, in quotation marks, boxing that we're seeing at the moment is just forgery. It's fool's gold. It's not real.
Let me ask you something. Do you think that Jake's fights are rigged? You can say anything. Because I've got a good response to this because I've thought that same thought many times. It's crossed my mind. And you look at comments on every boxing page or anything to do with it. It's like rigged. This is shit. Like,
I'm not saying he's personally shit. I'm just saying that I've been in the changing rooms at amateur level with amateurs, top level amateurs. I've been in the changing rooms with professionals that are paid to lose in the changing room.
No, I've seen all this myself.
Right, yeah. Inside professional boxing. I've seen the inside of professional boxing, and I've worked at world title level as a professional trainer.
It happens here in Australia too.
It happens in Australia more than anywhere else. What I'm saying is, I personally believe that the opponents are picked at the right time, and they are not ambitious in the slightest, and they are taking a payday. Now, whether that transpons to them saying does that transpond to me saying that it's rigged? I don't know. I can only tell you what I see with my eyes, and what I saw with my eyes was a man who didn't get hit go down and take a lot of money, and at a time when perhaps Jake was maybe gassed as well.
Because it doesn't make him look bad either, Anderson Silva. I mean, it does to an extent, but it also, like, he's been retired for a while. His days are done. He knows that. It's a good payday. But the reason I asked, I have no problem if you think it's rigged or if anyone thinks it's rigged. They're not like my best friends. I don't care. Like, people say it's rigged. It is what it is. I've thought at times there when I watched Tyron Woodley get knocked out, great punch, but would he drop his hand that easily? I don't know, mate. But the reason
I tell you what I believe from being around the kind of people that I've been around in the boxing world. I'm telling you now that it looks very choreographed. A lot of these knockouts, I
saw something that really just clicked in my brain, and I thought, because the reason I asked if you thought it was rigged is that all the 98% of the population are saying it's rigged in comments online, all these things. Most people are saying rigged. Would you just bet? Why don't you bet the house on Jake? You know, why wouldn't you put everything you own and bet on Jake if you're 1,000,000% convinced, not you, but all these people are so adamant that Jake Paul's fights are rigged? Bet your house on it. Bet your fucking every dollar you have, bet on that thing. And I guarantee none of them would do it. So they're clearly not that confident that it's rigged. And I just think it's a good...
I just don't do a lot of betting, mate, to be honest.
No, not you. I mean, like, people in general, you go on any of these posts and 90 out of 100 comments are people saying, like, this is rigged, can't believe how rigged this is. Cool. If you guys think it's rigged, bet your house on it. Bet every dollar you have on it if you think it's rigged. And if you don't bet on it, or even if you're not a gambler, if you think that's just like, maybe they're not that confident that it is rigged. Because, like, if I was convinced 100% that something's rigged and I was that passionate about proving it's rigged, I'll bet every dollar I had on it.
So I was in the UK in a professional boxing trainer in a corner, right? And unnamed fighter that I was cornering at the time hit this kid. This kid's in his like second or third pro fight, and he's obviously not good enough to be a top level fighter, but he sells a lot of tickets, right? He clipped him in the second round with a shot, and he literally there was looks across rings that happened and certain things that were like, you know, just step off him. The step off him looks, so the kid, so The fighter stepped off him. He literally had to hold he hit him with a hook, right? This fighter that I was working with hit him with a hook. The guy was out on his feet.
And he held him up,
he held him up until he could regain his like composure, and then stepped off him and allowed him the time to recover. Yeah. Because that's the level of fuckery in boxing, and that's why I'm not involved in it no more, because I can't. There's a lot
of corruption.
Everyone
knows that.
There's a lot of corruption, and that's why UFC is smashing boxing at the minute, because like look at the drug test with
one thing about the UFC to me that stands out is that the best are always usually fighting the best. You don't have like 3 champions in each division holding it up and never fighting each other, coming to agreements on money or this or that or locations, or you have to do this, like everyone arguing over who's the A side. In the UFC, you've always got the champion fighting usually one of the best guys. Like most champions in the UFC are usually defending their belt against, and you get super fights pretty regularly. You get a lot of good fights. Like Charles Oliveira versus Islam, it was a crazy quick finish and it was a good fight. But, in boxing, to get someone, look at some of the bigger fights, like AJ versus Fury's never happened, like things like that.
Well, to me, it's an obvious result anyway, but like, yeah, you're right. The best don't fight the best. The most infuriating thing at the moment, obviously, with Tyson Fury is the fact that he's got to fight Derek Chisora for the 3rd time.
Yeah.
Like, that's a pointless fight. And it's no wonder people turn to UFC and have an interest in UFC and have an interest in what I term as like the boxers off YouTube, because they have to be classed as boxers because some of them have got pro licenses. But those boxers off YouTube have become popular because people would rather watch that than watch professional arranged
100%.
Like fraud, because a lot of that's fraud too. So there's a lot that goes on. But you spoke recently to Kambosos and stuff like that. I mean, should he have gone into the rematch straight away? You know what I mean? I think perhaps the money was a predominant factor in that. Because perhaps if he'd actually had the opportunity to wait and have another fight to tune up before that, I think he probably would have taken it if he was honest. But this is boxing; it's corrupt. You know what I mean? It's corrupt as fuck. But
I think with Kambosos is as well is obviously money could have played a factor in it, but I think Kambosos is one of those guys, man. He will, most men in general, or even like any athlete, whether it's man or woman, would want to get a win back. Like if someone beat me, for sure I want to run it back. It's like when McGregor got beaten by Nate, he wanted to run it back. It's like, obviously the money thing is going to be there. If it's a rematch, there's always going to be some money involved. But, people want to see... I don't think everyone wanted to see that fight straight away. I don't think so. But, I mean, as a competitor, as George is, I think he wanted to get that win back and get in there and see if he could make things different. Unfortunately, he didn't. But at the same time, mate, I think he's a phenomenal fighter.
Yeah. And he's a nice guy too, like in terms of and his work ethic's second to none. But the only problem with boxing, and you'll find out as you go down this YouTube route with it.
I only want to do a few. I want to keep my head out of as much as possible.
But what I'm saying is there's a lot of politics, and I just think that a lot of the fighters aren't guided and protected right in that industry. It's why it doesn't sit well with me. It's like look after these fighters.
That's what I'm saying, bro. These YouTube fights, a card I just watched recently, one of my friends was fighting on it. You're seeing people just get in there, and some of these kids look like they've never even been in a verbal argument or even had an arm wrestle or wrestled with their friends as a kid or anything. It's just like you're getting kids that are hopping in this ring who just stand here like this and just boom, 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 and they're getting their fucking heads punched in. So I'm like sitting here thinking but
you've been around boxing for quite a while, and you've been training the art of boxing for a while. You're going to get in there with someone who's just got a following, mate, who's got no interest in boxing but just wants a payday. It's not really matched at the right level in that game. That's the whole problem with it. But I admire you. Obviously, there's as soon as you turned onto boxing, mate, it's like a switch in your head went off, and you. But I just urge you to really understand why you feel you got something to prove. I don't think you got anything to prove. I think you've achieved so much in life. It's competitiveness more than it is trying to prove a thing. I think it's like I've done sports my whole life pretty much. I've always tried to be the best at things. I've always tried to win. It's not an unhealthy thing. I think there's nothing wrong with with a bit of competitive nature. I think it's good. It keeps you alive. But for me, it's like I want to get in, entertain, prove a point, not
just prove a point to me, but to just show like some of these guys doing this thing, they're not good. Because all this, it's just like a casual fan base is building around these YouTube fights. They'll be like, oh, he's so good, he's good. They made their own fake titles in these organizations for YouTubers. And I'm like, if I win one of them, I'm just throwing that on the ground.
It just goes to show you how much money talks, doesn't it? Because
100%.
when the WBC and other organizations are making belts for YouTube boxing,
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It is absolutely absurd. If I was to fight in one of these and someone goes, oh, hey, you're the champion, I'm like, pfft. I swear, and time won't change. I'm not going to be like, yeah, I'm the that belt's getting tossed on the ground.
You imagine then someone like Kambosos looking from the outside, who's worked his absolute arse off all these years, been through the amateurs, done this, done the hard yards, had to bite down his gum shield through fights where he was getting paid fuck all. In fact, probably lost money on the training camp to get to the point where he is, to be able to get to the point where he can actually earn $1 million. Then he can get to a pinnacle fight where he can earn like 6, 7, 8 million. You imagine those guys looking at this.
Well, we talked about it briefly in the podcast I did do with him. You know, he's actually he understands it. You know, I think he understands it because he's in a good spot now. He said like he thinks it's good. You know, he said it's good for boxing. He thought, you know, there's more eyes coming to it. They're bringing more eyes for other boxers because they might come in as a casual fan just to watch their favorite social media guy, but they might get an itch to him. They're like, cool, I want to watch some other fights and I watch some pro fights, you know, and then they're bringing more eyes to boxing, and more eyes means more money eventually, and more people can grow on their social medias, better brands, better endorsements, more people to tune in to watch. George understands it, but he did say it a bit like that, you know, like there's people out there, blood, sweat and tears, sacrificing everything imaginable, losing money, like deteriorating their health just to get to that level, and someone walks in with, you know, 1 million followers and makes more money than they've made across 50 fights.
But what I will say to that is, it's not lost on me that they also worked 15 years to get where they are, because before they had 1 million followers, they had 0, and they had to build up their following. And I suppose from a boxing perspective, people have to realise that these people have been on their own journey. It might not have been in boxing, but at least they've been on their own journey, and full credit to them. Is when you walk in that boxing ring, it's taken you 10 years to get to that point where you have the enough following online to be able to even get in at the level and get paid what you get paid. So full credit to anybody that kind of wants to settle on that path, and I wish you the best.
It's not a long-term thing for me. It's like I would like to do 2 or 3 of them, get in, have a bit of fun, have some purpose there to train really hard, be really healthy, be switched on, let some steam out, get in there and compete with other people. Hopefully I get matched up against somebody that's half decent. And hey, if we get in there and have like a 6-round fight or a war or whatever it might be, amazing. I'd love to go out there and just show put on a performance. I'm an entertainer. I want to put on a performance.
When it comes to money for someone like you to do that, do you get offered like 6 figures or?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 6 figures,
definitely.
Anywhere near 7 or?
No, not yet. I mean, that's the thing, man. If I go out there and put on 2 or 3 good performances and face plant a few people and put on a few good fights,
no, that's good.
That's when some more money will roll in and people are like, whoa, I actually want to see this guy fight. I don't care about his videos. I just want to watch him fight.
You could end up fighting Jake.
Maybe. We'll see. He's a bit heavier than me, but we'll see what happens.
Strange things.
I trained with him last year in Miami in March.
That's sick. So for the rest of this year, your plans are: are you leaving the country? Are you staying in Australia?
I'll leave the country, mate. Yeah. Now I'm back on my feet. You know, only the last week or 2 I was able to start doing some light work in the gym again. It's been a really rough journey mentally for me since surgery. You know, it put me out a lot, and you know, when I can't train, work out, when I can't even go for walks along the beach, when I can't hang out with people, when I can't go on activities. Seeing all your friends doing fun things. And I'm not jealous of that. It's just envy. You know, it's like, fuck, I wish I was there. It's like, happy for them. Wish I could do these. Wish I could make some videos. Wish I could actually do some content. Wish I could do some exercise. And you're sitting around and Netflix gets old. You try to do a bit of work on your phone and that, but then, you know, you're left with a lot of spare time and a lot of unused energy. And a lot of that for me was going straight into just thinking about things, you know, draining my mental state and just falling into a bad rut. But yeah, to answer your question, sorry, I get really distracted, but to answer your question, yeah, I'm going to head to Dubai pretty soon.
Yep.
I'll do a week or 2 there, finish setting up a few things, catch up with some friends there. I think the F1's going to be on when I'm there.
Yeah. I'll
probably watch that with a couple of mates and just get finish off my recovery and do a bit more rehab, because it's a pretty good place. I don't have to worry about anything too crazy out there. It's a pretty safe place is what I like about Dubai.
It's the safest place you'll ever go.
Like you don't have to worry about people fucking with you there or anything. You're pretty sweet.
If you got an expensive watch and you wear it there, you're never going to get it stolen.
Oh, mate, girls could walk around at 3 o'clock in the morning by themselves through dark areas and they're safe. Like, it's a safe spot. And I'll go there a week or 2, catch up with some friends. I'm going to head from there to probably Mexico for a week or 2. I'm going to be doing a bit of work along the way. There's some podcast guests in Dubai I'd like to get on. There's some podcast friends. See, the thing with my podcast, I don't want every guest to have to be a famous person. I want to have just friends on with cool stories. Like, it's unsustainable always trying to find a famous guest. Like, I want to be able to put like somebody no one's ever heard of who understands, who's fucking had alien encounters or just random shit. I want to have a good dynamic range of people. And I've got friends all over the world that I'd love to have come on just to talk shit with me, you know? So that'll be the plan. Then after Mexico, we'll see how I'm feeling after a month on the road. After, you know, I might get drained pretty quick with just doing not a great deal the last few months, but the plan is to end up in the States again. Before the year's out, I'll be back in the States. And I'll set up shop over there and just park myself there for a while. A few podcasts of my own, jump on my buddy's podcast, train, see what goes on with this fight. If I get a fight inked down with an opponent for February, maybe I stay there and just do a short camp and then fuck off to the UK.
So is America the place to be then for anyone that wants to actually really
for a bit? You kind of have to do a stint there. I mean, you do and you don't. A lot of the big, because the thing is, man, there's a lot of creators in Australia now, like gamers and beauty people, all other like creators that I haven't even heard of until as of recently. They've got millions of subscribers, way bigger than people like myself, Shami, other people. Like, you kind of lose track. Like, as nowadays, man, everyone's making content. It's like there's just so many people making content now, and it's like, especially with the new TikTok wave. But I do think you have to go to America. You have to get out of here a little bit. You don't have to live there forever. Just go do a stint there, network, attend some parties, go to a few events, meet the right people, network, make a few friends.
What's your advice to someone like me then, like in terms of America? Because obviously I've done pretty well in the podcast game in Australia. I've done pretty well in the UK.
Yep.
Charted obviously well in Ireland and other countries. What's your advice for me?
I'd say get out there for sure, mate. If you know a few people there, and if you don't, I could always put you in touch with a couple of people. But get out there, just take a risk. You know, we'll talk about this. Just take a leap of faith, and you know, I'm sure you're doing pretty well. Just go out there, find a good area, park up for like 2 weeks, even 2-3 weeks. Just get a nice Airbnb or a hotel or some shit, or head over there, send some messages around, shoot your shot. You won't know until you try. Just message 100 people out there and just fucking end up in people's DMs, try to do a few podcasts, and all it takes is to meet a couple of people, and then it just starts expanding. You attend a party, you'll meet more people, have good conversations, you'll make friends, and people will hang out. I'd say definitely get to America and do a few out there for sure.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think it's amazing. It's amazing that we're having this podcast today of all days, because of in life you get a few signs of what you should be doing, and there's been a few signs as of late that I should be expanding into like the Dubai and the American market and stuff like that. There's been signs in my life where that started to come to pass, and I can start to see it now. I think I've kind of done as much as I can do in my time in Australia.
And this happens to me every time I'm here, bro. Every time I come back here and spend more than a few months, I'm like, fuck, why? Like, there's nothing else for me to really do out here. Like, I need to get out of here. Then I go away, and I don't know what it is with me, bro. There's probably a lot of shit wrong, but like, I'm away, bro, and like, my mind's just always spinning, always changing. I'm like, I need to get out of Australia. I need to go work. I need to go expand, go away for a few months. I'm like, fuck, I need to go home. I need to get like an actual routine. I need to get structured. I need to employ a big team. I need to get this going on. I need to get a house. I need to set this up. Then after a few months of that, I'm like, fuck, I'm stressed. I don't think I'm good at running a whole big team of things. I'm going to go back overseas. And it's just this big repeated cycle. And I haven't done it for a while. You know, I've been back home for quite a while, but this time I've got a pretty good clear-cut plan of what I'd like to do. And you know, there's a lot of little things I want to start, projects, businesses, even types of content. And, you know, I'm going to get out of here, go make some money and put that money where I want to.
When I started this, I had this goal, Jackson, of like, oh yeah, I'll just go and be the best that I can be in Australia, right? And then when I got to like 50 episodes, I was like, fuck, that's not even the goal, mate. Like that's a small goal if that's your goal. Like you're on the way, And then before I went on the UK tour, I'd got to number 5, right, in the category, education, and then like number 60 overall in Australia out of all podcasts. And I thought to myself, all right, I'll go UK, smash it in UK. So I smashed it in UK. Then I saw myself fall out of the charts, and then my ego got involved, right? Yeah. Then my ego's like, fuck, I can't let these Australians beat me. So I came back and got to number 3, right, inside 5 or 6 weeks. Yep. And then I thought, you silly fucker, you didn't need to, well, that's all ego, bruv. Like, you came back to fight for what? Like, you should have just expanded.
Because you come back and do that, and you're like, oh, fuck, it doesn't make me feel that much different, you know?
Yeah, like what's the point?
I think it's actually healthy to have a bit of ego in your life. I don't think it's great to, like, base your life on what you
How do you manage yours, though?
I don't know, man. It's just, it depends. There's so many different types of like ego in things. It's like, I don't feel like I need to prove that I'm better than anyone at anything anymore. I'd like to get into boxing and do some shit for sure. Like, but that's not like a be all end all. It's like, I have to do it or I'm going to die miserable. It's like, I want to just turn up and prove that I have worked harder, show that I can work harder. It's a testament to myself.
Internal measure.
Yeah, I want to prove to myself I can knuckle down, eat a clean diet, turn up to training 2-3 hours a day, 6 days a week, do my recovery, put the right people around me, hyper focus on this goal, be in this place, in this date, get inside of a ring with some fucking gloves on and prove that I have worked so much harder than this other person. It's a testament to me and my work ethic. It's not so I can make this person feel shit and prove I'm better than him in particular. It's like, I want to prove that I will outwork this person because I'm a workhorse, you know?
Yeah. No. I get it. You want to, I think that it's more subconsciously that you want to show that your body is physically capable. You want to show yourself that your body is physically capable.
Oh man, if I get there and I pull this off, I'll be bawling my eyes out of all kinds of emotions because this back shit's been a huge problem of mine.
Because throughout this recording this podcast, I felt your emotions going up and down and up and down and up and down, and then as you elevate at the end when you talk about boxing, I can see what really truly sets your soul on fire. And I think the reason boxing does that is because that journey at the end is you'll win and you'll get your win, but it's not really about that. I don't think. I think subconsciously it's about the fact of like, because your body's been through so much because of the steroids, because of the drugs and everything else you might have been through, and the injuries.
Mental push too.
It's a mental push that when you get to the end of it, you're like, fuck, I knew I was physically capable of that, but now I've shown myself I was physically capable about that, and that'll be a beautiful thing for you. I think
that's perfectly said. You broke it down and worded that absolutely perfectly. So. You did that better than I could.
No, mate, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you coming on today, right? So if there was, I ask all the guests this at the end because I really want them to leave a message that's going to impact this audience. But if there was, from everything you've been through, the OnlyFans, the mental health stuff, the injuries, the steroids, and everything that you've been through, the breakups, the ups, the downs, the Americas, the Australias, being in the UK, creating content all over the world, from everything that you've done, right? If there was some golden words of wisdom that you can impart and leave with this audience that could help inspire them to do more, be more, and everything else in their life, what would it be?
Honestly, I'd say get out of your hometown would be a good start because you want to expand, you know. I could explain this pretty well. If you're in a rush, I'll wrap it up real quick, but it's like you said before, you wanted to get out of here and go be bigger in the UK and this, that, the other. It's like a little thing I read once. You put a shark in a small fish tank, he's just going to stay that big. He won't get any bigger. You know, same as, but you put him in the ocean, he'll get big, he'll expand, he'll be able to go wherever he wants. It's the same as these things. You put somebody in a small little fish, like you'd rather be a small fish in a big pond rather than a big fish in a small pond. That's how I look at life. I'd rather get out to America and be unknown and have to work my way up because I know if I'm there, like it's easy to stay here. This is the thing about something like me and Shami, you know, like, he's stayed here a lot. He hasn't worked with all the people overseas and stuff. He's comfortable here and good on him. He's doing really well here. I wanted to get out of here and expand and meet new people and see what the rest of the world was like.
Yeah.
I'd say to people to get out of your hometowns and really, you have to forget that everyone exists, you know, like just trial living somewhere else for 12 months and your life will change. And anyone that's done this will probably relate to it. I'm not saying some people might be stoked where they're in their hometowns and they could become multi-millionaires and be happy and good for them. But for people that are wanting to break a cycle, to chase their dreams or try new things, first thing, move somewhere else, put yourself in deep water where you don't really know anyone. You have to fend for yourself. You have to work, make a plan, chase your dreams, do what you enjoy. You can make money sitting there eating food in front of a camera now. You can make money playing video games. The world in itself has never, ever, ever been this easy to actually earn money with technology, online, internet, social media, cryptocurrency, stocks, all these things. Like there's a million ways to be making money. And realistically, it's actually not as hard as people think. So if there's something that people want to do out there, I say go for it, go all in, take a risk. If you lose a job or if you lose some money, so be it. Come back to a job. There's always going to be a job there to fill. What's 12 months out of your life at putting yourself somewhere else, take a risk, chase dreams, try not to burn too many bridges along the way, unless you're a good swimmer, like me. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not great at pinpointing specific things, but that's just things that have helped me. Getting out of my hometown, ignoring the doubt, ignoring what people think about me, unless that they're important people. It's not just like, oh, fuck my family if they don't like me. It's like, take on board what your family and friends think, but don't let it stop you. If there's something you want to do, if it's not illegal, if you're not ruining people's days, get out and do it. Like, there's a lot of worse things. Just be kind to people. Try to remind yourself to be grateful for where you're at. There's been very little times in my life where I've said and gone, I'm actually proud of myself. I'm happy with where I'm at. Never really. And I would tell people to not make that mistake. Appreciate the small wins along the way and don't get complacent. I've gotten complacent, but I wasn't actually celebrating where I was at. It was just like, fuck, I didn't know what to do next.
Yeah, that's why, you know, when you've achieved certain levels, you've kind of, because you didn't stop and celebrate, you've kind of felt a little bit empty and carried on trying to chase
burnout as well.
Yeah.
Really bad burnout. You know, that's like me. I have no structure at all. Like, I work every day for 30 days nonstop. From the moment I wake up to the moment I sleep, work, running around, doing things. And then I'll just be burnt out. I'm fucking miserable. I'm angry. I'm like, I cannot even keep on. That's when I'll take a day off. I never organized to have a day off. I never organized this. It's not like Monday to Friday, then Saturday, Sunday's chill day, relax, wait, get ready for the next week. It's like, I wake up, whether it's like doing emails, doing meetings, phone calls, training, recovery from my back, making a video, editing the video, posting it, doing comments, doing messages, trying to organize my businesses on the outside, like starting this agency that I'm going to be working on, organizing a boxing fight overseas, organizing vlogs, podcasts, finding staff. It's just, there's a lot more to it than people think. People are like, oh, anyone could be stupid on camera. And yes, anyone could be, but.
Because you're going to start, can we talk about the agency?
Yeah, we can talk about the agency.
Just before we go, like, you're going to start an OnlyFans agency, essentially.
Yeah, it'll be social media and OnlyFans agency for people out there because, you know, I wanted to create a safe space where people feel comfortable. And, you know, I had 200-300 girls at my parties. The girls were all comfortable. It was a fun time. It was really good. They weren't getting creeped on too badly or anything, like you would at clubs and stuff. A lot of porn stars get really badly looked down upon. A lot of management won't work with porn stars. I just also want to have their best interests at heart. You know, like, I want to make sure it's not a management company that just comes in, hey, give us some of your money, we'll help you make money, and then we'll get rid of you when you're not hot anymore. It's like, we're going to have an accountant that will help you guys out, an accountant that will help you with your finances, make sure you save a lot of your money in the early days so you're not broke one day when this doesn't last forever. Have their best interests there. Have stuff like that. Have female photographers, female videographers, female editors, female assistants, so all these girls are comfortable in a more heavily dominated female space. I won't be there watching things and doing everything. Like, I'll organize content trips, take girls down, like do a snow trip, go up to Hamilton Island, go overseas. Like, I'll go on those trips. I'll make some of my own content. I'll hang out with everyone and I'll create fun and be that good energy, and everyone will just feel happy and it'll just be a good time. And, you know, we'll help these people. Our product in itself will be the best part. We'll help people make money. We'll take a lot of work off their shoulders, and that'll give them more free time to make more content and to enjoy their lives, as well as looking out for their best interests outside of their work. So that's where I would like to go with my agency in the future.
No, I understand that. I mean, the only thing I would add to that from my point of view is removing content. Obviously,
content removal for sure.
No. Obviously, like, no, I understand. I'm not saying about adding content removal. Obviously, you're going to add content removal to the agency, and if you ever want to talk about that, we can talk about it. But the one thing I would add to that agency that I don't know whether you've thought about is like, from speaking to a lot of females that create content and put content online, I realize how much it affects their mental health beyond what most people would understand it from a psychological level. I've talked to a lot.
We've talked about getting a therapist on our team to literally be there to talk to them all, you know, if they need it.
Here's the real truth, and I've spoken to hundreds of these girls over the years removing content. The real truth is that if I was to be honest, 60% of them shouldn't even be creating content, because they would be better off fixing their relationship with the parent that wronged them, or the uncle that abused them, or the darkness. If they fix the darkness inside themselves, they wouldn't even create the content in the first place, is what I'm saying. So I'd say 60% of all content creators in the adult space wouldn't even be content creators without the dark.
I like that you say 60%, because there is a lot of people, like a lot of strong, happy, mentally completely normal, insane people from a great family that are doing it. And there is people that generally just want to be paid. And I don't, and nothing wrong with that.
I'm not judging the industry.
Yeah.
I'm just saying from a guy that's removed a lot of content from the internet, like hundreds of thousands of links.
That is one thing I forgot to add into the thing. There will be content removal, whether it's through you or elsewhere, but we'll be doing that.
but do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I agree with you partially as well.
I just know that, you know, there's a lot of women out there that make a lot of money that aren't very happy in that industry.
Well, they make the money and realize it's not filling that empty hole that, you know, was there at the beginning. It's one hole's getting filled, maybe two, but no, I know what you mean, bro.
Do you know what I'm saying though? Like,
Yeah.
On a deeper level, you know, like there's people filling their pockets full of cash, but then they might be suicidal because they haven't dealt with the original pain that put them.
And it makes things worse. Because now they've got to deal with, like, there's porno of them being leaked, and, you know, any future bosses, if they should return to a normal job, or their family seeing it, or any future partners seeing it being leaked, you know, there's a lot of other things. Like you said, you know, a big chunk of people are doing it to fill spaces from early traumas.
Well, when me and you first spoke, we were talking about, you know, your videos were appearing on gay porn sites, weren't they? So like, and you weren't comfortable with that at the time. Like, do you know what I mean?
Just
like,
to be frank, it doesn't matter that it was gay. That wasn't why I was uncomfortable. It could be gay or straight. I just didn't like my shit being leaked, but you can't always stop it.
Yeah, no. But what I'm saying is like, but there's a lot of measures that need to be in place to make sure that these people are in a right mental state before you take them on. I think you will do that in your agency. I don't think many agencies do it at all. I think a lot of agencies just grab cash in that space, which is fine. But I tend to see people at the end of their careers, right? Oh shit, I want to have a family now. I want to clear the internet up. Oh shit, my mental health's being dramatically affected, Frankie. I need a solution. That's what I see. So I see that. That's why I say 60%, because it's never going to be 100. But anyway, that's just my opinion.
No, I think it's a really good thing to say, man. You know, and it will make people think twice about doing it. That some people just do it without thought. So it's good to put it out there. Anyone listening, it is a really valid point you make. You know, like, some people end up that way, not all people, and that's why you said 60%. But, you know, I never got in there to fill a thing. I was just fucking bored of doing the same shit. And I was like, I'm just going to have some fun, do something different. And that's why I did it.
The other thing I want to say as well is the fact of the reason why they're better off being under someone like you is because you've actually made money. There's a lot of people that have lost their self-worth potentially because they've done it for the wrong reasons. That's why I say the word self-worth, that haven't made the cash that you've made. Yeah. So I'm saying it's a lot easier to get over when you've made the cash that you've made than potentially some people that have lost a part of them potentially, but they've only made 10 grand. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's a whole array of things that I'm sure you can guide people down.
I can prove that I've got a good formula there to make good cash, and how to do things outside of, like, honestly, making the content's the least amount of thing you have to worry about. It's every other little detail.
It's the marketing. It's the internal back end.
Yeah.
The back end. I mean, as a business model, I really respect the subscription model, the OnlyFans model, selling the front end subscription, the back end, how you make the money on the back end messages and all that stuff. I really respect the model. I just don't think the model's right for 60% of people that out of the 100% that think it is right for them. Do you know what I mean? That's all I say on the mental. It's just important to include a bit about the mental.
So you hate porn stars?
I don't.
I'm just joking, bro.
No, I know you are, but like, I really want to say this there's a lot of people suffering in that industry.
Hey, 100% there is. That's why I think it's a valid subject to raise and talk about. I think it is an untalked about thing as well.
Yeah, no one talks about it, and that's why, and I am the perfect person to talk into it because I've seen the removal side of it at a high level. So it's the game I know. But mate, loved having you on.
Appreciate it, bro.
Thank you for finally.
Thank you very much.
We got round to it before your trip, mate. I wish you every success in life. And guys, do me a solid favour, yeah. Hopefully, we've talked around many different topics in this podcast. Jackson's journey, his boxing stuff, and all that stuff. We've dropped a few golden nuggets in this. Hopefully, you've got some value. Like it, share it, subscribe, share it on social media, share it with your friends. I appreciate every single one of you. Much love, guys. Peace out. Ciao for now. Guys, do me a solid favour. Drop a comment below this video and let us know who you want on the podcast next.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Frankie Lee Podcast.